That's that music. That means it must be time for City Business. This is James Moore joining me in the studio, 4th City Ward Councilman, councilperson, I guess we say in this day and age, Mr. Michael Halley. Always good to see you, Michael. And we're going to get the latest from the city haps, and we do that every Tuesday following the City Hall session at 12:30 lunchtime, and then Thursday 6:30 p.m. dinner time, and the following Monday at 6:30 a.m. breakfast time right here on solar-powered KRUU-FM, also streaming online at KRUU-FM.com. And as the music fades away, this gorgeous day, Michael, how you doing today?
I'm good. Glad to be here as always.
Well, good to see you, and let's just ask what's happening at City Hall.
Well, we had a relatively light agenda. This is our September 23rd, 2013 regular council meeting. As always, we go through our consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the prior meeting, finance report, any resolutions to hire employees, and approval of some liquor licenses, etc. So usually this goes pretty standard, but we did have a question asked by Councilwoman Connie Boyer. She noticed on the finance report a few balances were in the negative. She was concerned about that. Our city clerk, Joy Messer, clarified that 2 of the accounts are not actually in the negative. One is local option sales tax. It appears that way until the payment arrives. So sometimes the payment arrives a little later, but it's not actually a negative fund. The only one that is actually in the negative is the solid waste fund. And this is something that our previous city administrator, Jeff Clausen, was aware of 3 years ago and began to remedy. And that was just basically raising the trash pickup rates slightly. Might have been 25 cents or 45 cents or something. And that is actually helping to pay that down. And hopefully, we're hoping within a year or less, that negative balance will be paid. Just like anything, just like the title of this show, City Business, you do want to run the city municipality like a good business, not carrying debt unnecessarily and such. So that was good that we took a look at that, and we'll fix that negative fund because that's going to be paid somehow. And if it's not paid by the user fee of trash pickup, then it would be paid by property tax or some other kind of tax. So it was good that she spotted that and that she noticed and that she cared, because it's our job as council people to sit and look at the information on this iPad that is provided to us and scrutinize it a little bit.
Nice. If I'm not mistaken, she used to work at a bank, so probably has the eye for the detail.
Yep. Well, just like on any nonprofit board, you want a nice mix of people from different backgrounds, and it's always helpful to have an accountant or a banker or somebody from the financial industry. All right, we moved on to public forums appearances. Didn't have any. So then we moved on to our resolutions, action items, and ordinances. We did a couple of first reads of new ordinances to vacate alleys. It's interesting that these 2 came at the same time. Basically, if the city has an alleyway that is adjacent to some property, that the property owner is interested in acquiring that alley, maintaining it themselves, the city will vacate, meaning we no longer have ownership of that. So there's a little alley over by the Schaus Voorhees Paint Line Division property on Grimes. We moved that from the first to second reading. And an alley in the block First United Methodist Church. Let's see, that would be on Briggs. And they want to pave that alley themselves, but they don't want to pave it unless they own it. And they're leaving it open to traffic. It won't change a thing for citizens, except for it actually be maybe a little bit better maintained than the city was able to do. I see the way the city streets are done is as funds are available, streets are repaired. Alleys are put on the back burner, as many people in town know. I know that our neighbor up here on Main Street will come through with his own equipment and grade the gravel in the alley, which is very generous of him to do, but it's very helpful as well.
It lessens the puddles.
Yes, significantly.
But it's interesting. So United Methodist Church behind there, so the alley is paved. They say, never mind, I won't. Good intention, something like that, and good cement, I think. So
well, they own most property on the entire block, so it's in their interest to keep it well maintained. There really wasn't much else. Let's see. We had a tax abatement application from a new home built on Cody Circle. The city reinstated the residential tax abatement, property tax abatement policy to encourage either new construction or significant renovation. And it's basically percentage of property tax, or most of the cases the percentage is forgiven for a period of time. It's just a little incentive saying, hey, build in town rather than outside of town. All right, then we moved on to our favorite topic, which is the sewer system.
Yes, back to the sewer. By the way, we are speaking with Michael Halley. This is City Business on KRUU-FM. I'm James Moore, and we're broadcasting from the Cultural District. If we sound a little more visual than usual, we have the Fairfield Media Center here, actually filming at the same time. And I'm used to being just a grungy old radio non-face, so I'm trying not to be self-conscious. I don't think it's working. Michael's just a natural, but so next point?
All right, well, just a little bit about the Media Center.
Sure.
Just to back up, last council meeting, I was approved by the council as the liaison between the city council and the Fairfield Media Center board. And I've always liked the Media Center. I like where the direction they're going, essentially trying to, just like KRUU gives voice to the community, the Media Center wants to give voice and image to the community, basically being a place where people can come, pick up equipment, or submit their own videos and have a site where they can be shared. We thought, someone brought up, hey, you know what would be really helpful is if someone did a review of the council meeting that was a little bit more palatable than the actual meeting itself. I said, actually, I already do that, and it's on KRUU, and people love it, and it was James Moore's idea, and he's the guy behind it, but it really helps because you called this city business. The council meeting is the business of the city, and sometimes if you're watching, you might not know certain terminology that the council members are familiar with, or the background of a given topic, and it's a little bit uninteresting to watch the entire meeting. And
let's just say it moves at its own pace.
Yes, exactly. It's like C-SPAN. You ever see C-SPAN live coverage of Congress? I mean,
I have.
That's painful.
But you know what? Interesting thing is there may be a part of it that is really, really important to you for whatever reason.
Yep.
So it is such a great thing to have that record. Mm-hmm. And by the way, FMC has been a great partner with great taste, broadcasting from High V and with Steve Boss and Jason doing that. So we have a nice hand in hand or arm in arm or whatever, a great relationship. So we're happy to invite them in. And of course, just like FMC, KRUU is the city, is the community, and we're open to all kinds of stuff. And thank you for being a part of yet another thing, also a KRUU show host. So Mr. Halley.
My pleasure.
Keep up the good work. Mr. Halley goes to, no, not Washington, goes to Fairfield.
Yeah, I go to Fairfield.
Goes to City Hall. Back to City Hall.
All right. So anyone who's been paying any attention knows that the city's got some failing wastewater infrastructure that needs to be dealt with, that needed to be dealt with a long time ago, wasn't dealt with, so we're dealing with it now in earnest. Part of that process is potential...
Wait a second, I can't resist that.
Go ahead.
So you're dealing with the sewer in earnest? Poor guy. All right, but don't forget to tip your waitress and tip her back over when you're done.
We need a little drum. All right. So
TV, you gotta excuse me.
In all seriousness, it's good. You need a little humor when you're talking about this. So there are areas of town where the city will need to dig up old pipes to replace them, and that's on private property. And there may be some land around the actual wastewater. Well, I shouldn't say maybe. There will be some land. It hasn't been decided what land exactly around our wastewater treatment plant that will need to be purchased for an expansion. And so in order to do this, there are certain regulations. You need not just one, but two appraising companies to find the value of the land that you're either purchasing or changing in some way. You have to, if you come in and they grant you an easement and you dig, you've got to either restore it, or if you didn't restore it, you have to pay for whatever damages or property value loss. So say somebody has a beautiful rose garden and you come and just dig it up and replace some pipes and you can't put it back to its former glory. Law requires you to pay whatever the value of that is. So,
and you mean literally dig, not like you dig, man.
Yeah, literally.
Yep.
Actually upturn the earth and take out the old failing pipes and put in new ones. So instead of just using your standard appraiser, like a real estate person, you have to use these specific appraisers who do this for a living, and they're a little more expensive. So we have to hire one as an appraiser and then one as the appraiser verifier. And that's just how it works. So we had 3 agreements that we approved. One was for with the company called KRUU Appraisal. There was for commercial appraisers of Iowa. And the third was for JCG Land Services, Inc., and they all specialize in this kind of stuff. It's not just for sewers. One of these companies actually worked with the city when we expanded our airport, because it was the same thing. We were purchasing private property to expand the runway, and it has to be done very systematically, very carefully, and you have to make sure the value you pay for the land you're buying, that you're giving the proper value. So that was approved, and that was actually, well, I'm going to skip ahead. We did a couple other things for wastewater. We passed the 3rd and final reading of the wastewater fee rate increase. So that increase was 20%.
Dun, 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 dun.
No one likes it. Just to bring something up from last meeting, the utility committee did agree to look into some sort of fund to help low-income or fixed-income residents with this. But it is only 20%, just to clarify, in the wastewater portion. That's not the same as the water portion of your utility bill or the trash, recycling. It's just the wastewater portion. So if your bill, like my bill, is it's kind of embarrassingly low. I don't want to. It's less than $60 a month because I'm a single guy and my kids are with me once a week.
And you bathe how often? No, I'm just kidding.
Often enough. So it's not 20% on top of that. I would have to look at my bill, subtract out the trash, recycling, subtract out the water, and then whatever the wastewater, add 20 to that. So,
which is important in this calculation.
Yeah, just so people don't say, what?
It's not 20% of the whole thing.
Bill. It's just a portion. So we passed that, and also an amendment that was basically just how far away from a sewer line a property would be to need to tie into it. Mm-hmm. We tweaked that a little bit. So that was all the lovely sewer infrastructure voting that took place. There will be much, much more. It's just getting started. But in earnest, poor Ernest, we're really moving forward on this. We're not. We have a real plan, and it's going to happen.
We want to get Ernest out of the gutter. That's the whole,
exactly.
The gist.
That's
here,
what's
folks.
going on here. It's number one goal. There was something else, though, different project altogether. The pool and gym project. We have an architect for the pool side, Burback Aquatics. Been working with them for a while on the design. We've been working with this firm out of Iowa City, Newman Munson. Actually, they're Iowa City and Des Moines offices.
Okay.
And they're an architect, and we just didn't actually formalize the agreement. So we did that last night. But this firm has really came as the number one pick from the task force, the volunteers who've been working on this project. It was easy to see why. They've done these kind of projects before, and they're really good at using green features, energy efficient features. They did a project that had all this really nice natural light. So in any given somewhat sunny day, pretty much don't even need artificial lighting. So it's good to get that going. I'll have more on that project at our next city business.
So timetable's not up yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
That will be most likely next council.
Stay tuned, folks.
Stay tuned. It's 3 weeks instead of 2 because our council meetings are the second and fourth Mondays.
Right.
And sometimes that's 3 weeks. In this case, it's 3 weeks from today that I'll be back here doing this. So I know that extra week can be a real nail biter for people who really count on city business.
Well, and speaking of which, that's Michael Halley. I'm James Moore, and this is City Haps. Every council following each session, we come together and give a sum up, I guess we can call it. And that is lunchtime Tuesday, dinner time Thursday, and breakfast time the following Monday. And it looks like it's going to be on FMC too, so you can always go there to find out the schedule. Mm-hmm. And what's the website? It's very simple, isn't it?
I'm going to have to ask my friend Jason Strong.
FairfieldMediaCenter.com. It couldn't be much simpler.
That is as easy as it could be. You know, the city's website is the cityoffairfieldiowa.com, and sometimes that Iowa part throws people off.
Yep.
So there are lots of Fairfields in this great country of ours.
There really are, yes.
So
there are a lot of James Moores, too.
I bet.
You know? But
yeah.
I know I think I'm this one. But
it's fun to Google yourself sometimes and see the wide array of people who share your name.
Well, I got stopped at airports because there was a guy that wrote not very favorably of one of our former presidents.
Uh-oh.
And I kept saying, I'm not that James Moore, but it didn't matter to them. But
that's too bad.
Yeah, but no, it's not nice being. It's hard enough flying with much less being stopped for something that you're not. Last time I was in Canada, I just said I'm not that one, and they said, "Okay, go ahead." It was kind of cool.
Really?
Canada's a wonderful country.
Yeah, Canada. We could learn a few things from our friends up north.
But anyway,
right.
So back to city business here.
So we moved on to department reports or reports from various groups. I did a brief, and I'll keep it brief here. RAGBRAI update, just that before the event, we promised the community if the event profited, that those profits would go back in the form of grants to nonprofits, and we would give special attention to the nonprofits who helped make the event successful. Part of the reason announcing that beforehand was to get more people to come and help. So we had 56 grant applications.
Great. Requesting
over $100,000, but we didn't have $100,000 or anything close to that. So we were able to fulfill in full or in part 23 applications. Great. And it's all for what we considered really great community projects. So
is there a list of that somewhere?
There is a list on, we should put it on the city website maybe, but it's on the, it'll be in the paper, I believe, in the Ledger.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where.
But it's not on a website at this point.
I can't remember what website. I know I have a list and it's an
maybe
email.
CVB?
Possibly CVB.
But I bet Terry Baker would know.
Ask Terry Baker from the Visitors Bureau if you want to see the list. It'll get out there. I'm sure it'll be in the
Well, congratulations to everybody. And again, what a great event. I think fun. Really showed off Fairfield in a nice way. It was a lot of fun. So.
Yep.
We survived.
Yeah, everyone came out unscathed. Next was an annual report, actually by the Visitors Bureau. Rustin Lippincott, the director, gave the report. It's an annual thing that he's done since maybe before I was on the council. I think actually I was his CVB board president recommending that he get do this to the council because the city does currently fund the Convention and Visitors Bureau with 100% of the hotel motel tax revenues. Other cities divide those funds amongst different organizations. So it's kind of like going to the people who are funding you and saying, here's what we're doing. I hope you continue to fund us. A little bit like that. But there's so much good work being done. I don't think it's ever come up that wouldn't continue at this point. But those hotel motel tax revenues did increase about 12% from 2011 to 2012. And we have the new hotel, the American and such, so that's good. And those funds are then used to promote Fairfield, and then they use about 1/10 of their total budget. They give out as grants as well to various local events. The idea is they can then use those funds to expand their marketing, especially. So I know Fairfest actually, which is the next thing on the list, to help market a little bit more. So it's a great way to using those funds because the funds come from visitors and then they go back into trying to get more visitors. So
it's nice. Make that money move, baby.
Yep. Self-sustaining is the idea. The last report was from a couple of members of the Fairfest committee. And first we heard kind of a recap of how the first year went. Incredibly well. It was the bottom line. People who came and participated, musicians and vendors alike, felt that it was an event that had been going for 10 years, not a kickoff event. So kudos to the organizers, including yourself.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was definitely a big group effort, and KRUU is certainly proud to be a central part of it, a central plank. But it took, a community just like this station. Imagine 75 shows, and it looks like after this week, we've been saying we're 99% locally produced. After this week, we're going to be 100% locally produced.
Oh, really?
Our one syndicated news program that we've been running with is going the way of the White Wolf, and we may just start doing our own news. We have J.P. Sotili, who's been doing a program with me inside the headlines, who does a daily rundown, and so that's kind of exciting. But thanks. It was really a great thing. Looking forward, I think there are a lot of great plans on the horizon. We met with the Iowa Sustainable Business Alliance today, already looking forward to the sustainability part. The Great Taste part actually got covered by KTVO for Fairfest this year, I should say, with Matt Steigerwald. But it's just fun to see what's possible. We couldn't be more excited. And like I say, a lot of great people involved in that. We're hoping, we figure RAGBRAI had 24,000 people. If it's every 10 or 12 years, we probably had 6 to 8 this first year over those 3 days. If we can get that up to 10 to 12 every year, you just kind of do the math. And so it's an exciting thing to build. So
and that was one thing that was one point that was made last night, is this could be a signature Fairfield event that not in any 1 year possibly equals RAGBRAI, which is maybe a 6 to 8 year event for us if we're
if that
possibly
cool.
It was 16 was kind of a long time to go, and I think now that we've proven ourselves and put on such a great event that they would consider coming back sooner.
Well, they're always welcome here, that's for sure.
Time will tell. But the idea of something annual, something named after the city and
for the
city by the city, is very deserving of support from the city. So if there's going to be financial support, that'll come in January when we're doing our budget for the year.
Yeah, this was not an ask. It was just sort of a report.
Yep.
And also, gosh, Michael, you were a big part of the city and community volunteer buzz and buy-in for RAGBRAI, which is such an incredible storied tradition. 40 years plus. What the possibilities are for something like this are just a little bit like mind-boggling to me. If each year we can add, some of that enthusiasm for the city by doing different components and starting this early out, it's just exciting. But I don't mean to go on and on. It's I wasn't able to make it last night. I interviewed John Rotz, who is Jim Carrey's publicist and also started an incredible foundation with Eckhart Tolle and is in town. He's going to be speaking actually Thursday night, the 26th, as the kickoff for the Orpheum Theater that's opening things up this weekend.
Yep.
And, of course, Tacopocalypse, which is going to be the restaurant there, was part of Fairfest. I don't know, this city, it's great, and it just keeps getting greater.
It really does.
But anyway, I don't mean to get off track here.
Well, I'll tell you what I told the organizers from Fairfest. They mentioned that they know RAGBRAI profited, they felt mainly from the beverage garden. I would say it was partially from the beverage garden, and there were other ways that we were able to raise funds that I am very happy to share with the Fairfest organizers. I would like to see, for example, we did the T-shirt coupon.
Fantastic, yeah.
Why not make that part of an annual thing? I mean, it's not an idea that's owned by RAGBRAI. It was something our committee heard about and then ran with.
Right.
And it was amazing, the list of places that got involved.
It was, the banks and so many other places. It's definitely... We're not on the merch side of the coin. Great suggestion, and maybe have a design contest and all that kind of good stuff. There's time for it.
Pick a theme, and
if only there was creativity in this town.
If only. So that was actually a decent moneymaker that helped the event profit. Obviously, the beverage garden, and I think that. Well, I can't speak for the council members. I'm not going to say anything. I'll speak for myself.
Okay.
I would be fine with the beverage garden if that. Well organized. Obviously, it would be beverage garden for 21 and over,
of course,
as part of Fairfest.
And hopefully, New Belgium, other people we've discussed, could be a really nice signature. Another aspect of bringing in some different, people drink or they don't, but it seems like, you want everything in balance, but it does seem to be a part of most every other festival.
Yeah,
and I think it's completely fine not to drink.
Exactly.
But anyway, time will tell on all those fronts. I know it'll be a different ask, and I know the city's been very judicious about that, which I think is a good thing too.
Yeah, you got to make sure the organization who's asking for the beverage garden is able to maintain it. Just for the record, I had 2 drinks at RAGBRAI that night, neither one alcoholic, because I was on duty. So I had these energy drinks, and gotta
be careful with those.
The poor guys at the energy drink station were bored out of their minds. I might have been like one of the only people who buy anything, while the beverage, the beer sales were up quite a bit. So now that is actually, for better or for worse, part of the RAGBRAI culture is a lot of the riders enjoy alcoholic beverages. So that being said, I don't think that's going to ever become part of Fairfest culture, that you're going to attract necessarily heavy drinkers, but it's nice to have that for the people, like you said, on a social event on a weekend night. If they want to have a drink or two, they can.
Oh, even my family as a kid, the dad would have a beer or whatever, kids would have a pop, and that would be part of it. It wouldn't be like a knockout, drag down, or knock down, drag out thing. But at any rate, pretty exciting, the whole thing. And again, sorry I couldn't be there. John Rotz, we had a situation we were dealing with here at the station, and it all worked out fine, ladies and gentlemen. But actually, he's going to be up in just a few minutes if you're listening live on Tuesday to City Business. And we are just about like a minute away. You got to sum up there, sir?
Oh, that's it. That's all the good stuff.
That's all there is?
Well, that's all from this week.
How did we do for the TV, folks? Where are the cameras? I don't even know.
I can bring, 10 seconds, I can talk about a committee meeting I've got later today.
You got it.
Urban tree plan we're trying to put in place. We've got
Beautiful.
several threats to our local tree population. We got the oak wilt, and now the ash borer, this insect that decimates ash trees.
It sounds like a tennis match in... sorry.
It's all right.
Tennis players.
So we're going to get this a plan to keep ahead of this so that we don't lose a lot of the trees. I mean, we're going to lose some of the trees, but we got to replant so that we've got trees coming up as the other trees are coming down.
And we'll hear more about that, how people can get involved and stuff?
Yeah, after today's meeting, I'll have more of an idea of how we're moving forward. But yeah, we want an arbor commission of volunteers.
Fantastic. Well, we're out of time. This has been City Business with James Moore and, of course, Michael Halley, 4th Ward City Council person. And you can catch this 12:30 noon time on Tuesday, dinner time 6:30 p.m. Thursday, or the following Monday, 6:30 a.m. Keep it real right here in Fairfield, Iowa.